So this work that you've done at the Lewa Conservancy, getting connected to nature and kind of plugging yourself in the community has led to some, I don't know, I would call it activism through photography in other areas as well. And one of them is in Hong Kong, where you're an ambassador for, is it the Hong Kong Wildlife Protection Organization? Can you correct me on the title there?
It's HKALPO. HK Hong Kong Alpo, I always call them. It's basically a bunch of lawyers that came together to actually change things for the better on the legal side of things. And so Hong Kong is also a very special place for me. I left my heart there many years ago when I was working for DJI, and I fell in love with this part of the world so much. And it's also a very significant kind of hub in the conservation world, because a lot of the rhino horn, a lot of the elephant tusks, they would go through Hong Kong into mainland China. That would be the kind of gateway. And so even with like, shark fin soup, a lot of the shark fin ends up in the restaurants of Hong Kong. And so I just felt that to support an organization like that, a team of lawyers who are making those efforts on the legal front, would be hugely beneficial. Because that's where you need to fight, not just on the front lines in Africa, but also in Asia, where all the animal parts end up. So
a more holistic approach, right? Like not just attacking a symptom, but trying to come at it, systematically.
Exactly. It's basically grabbing the snake at both ends.
Awesome. We have some photos here from Hong Kong. I'd love to chat about these.
Yes. So I took these images in a place called the Hong Kong Botanical Gardens. And it's this really beautiful kind of a park, essentially. It's a park you can just enter as you walk through the city center. And right in the middle of this beautiful botanical garden with all these unbelievably beautiful plants all around you, you have these really kind of apocalyptic black metal cages where someone at some point thought it would be a good idea to put some primates and monkeys. And I remember I didn't actually know that they had animals, that it was kind of a zoo for primates as well. I just thought, because it was just listed as a botanical garden. So one day when I first went to Hong Kong, I just thought it would be a wonderful afternoon stroll through the gardens. And then I came across these cages, and I couldn't believe the contrast of being in this beautiful place. And then right there in the middle, you have these young mothers pushing their strollers through, and you have like literally these beautiful animals getting tortured. And it just was it left such a deep kind of traumatic feeling in me that I felt like I had to capture them and tell their story to the world. And so that's where these images were born, as just me trying to show people what these creatures are going through. And it's horrible. I mean, look at the expression on this person's face. To me, that's a person, behind that glass. That's not an animal. That's a person. There's a humanness to them that you just can't ignore. And I can't believe that anyone would think that this is okay. To put a creature like that, which evolved to be in the green treetops of jungles of Asia, and to put them in this giant metal cage with just black metal bars all around it. It's just horrific to even think about.
Yeah, I have always mixed. So I lean more to one side than the other, but I have mixed feelings about zoos and stuff. It's like I have small children. I love them to be able to go see these animals and interact with them to a degree, but at the same time, it's so unnatural for it to be in like a, and even in some of the zoos over here, at least they have some kind of open area. I don't like them in captivity in the first place, but even at least they have some sort of fake nature, I guess, to play around in, but that seems pretty harsh.
Yeah, you know, it's just like with anything in the world, you can't put a blanket like statement on all zoos in the world because not all zoos are equal. There's also the reality of many zoos in the world, which are actually safeguarding some of the last members of disappearing creatures. So, of course, now with the reality of where we're at on the planet, you kind of need a lot of zoos because they provide, genetic diversity to a lot of those species that are going extinct in the wild. But yeah, this particular place, the Hong Kong Botanical Garden, it's not one of those places that you want to keep around. I mean, there's just no reason why these animals should be going through this in the year 2023. You know, like no one actually likes it either. I remember I spent a lot of time there just observing, and most of the time when you see people walking past, you actually see the horror on their faces. Like no one's there having a good time. You know, the people are horrified of what these creatures are going through, and the creatures have lost their will to live. They're just kind of hanging in there. Like, look at this orangutan. Is this the environment that an orangutan should be living in? I mean, it's just, it's beyond comprehension.
And you can see the depression. Like you can see it. It's palpable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, these creatures don't move. He wasn't active. He just sat there staring off into space. I like this one too because it just, I mean, I don't like it. Obviously, it's horrific. But just, it almost looks like he's closing his eyes, imagining what it was like in the trees a long time ago.
Man.
But yeah, so
that's rough.
Yeah, I try to show these photos, you know, anytime I chance, I like to kind of bring awareness to the Hong Kong Botanical Gardens because I really hope that in my lifetime they're going to shut those cages down, remove the cages, and it'll be one of the most beautiful botanical gardens in the world.